Hi, I'm Kevin Klein. Moments ago, I just finished a conversation, a meeting, if you will, with one of the board members of a community center in the city of Winnipeg. These are volunteer positions, and all of our community centers have boards, and the boards are made up of volunteers, and they're responsible for running community centers in the city of Winnipeg. I asked for the meeting. I asked for that meeting because in speaking with individuals and reading research papers from Gino DeStasio and others, Gino, a professor at the University of Winnipeg, we can see the impacts of reducing our community service programming and outlets to children with an increase in crimes and other things. There's a correlation here. We need to have activities for kids of all ages, no matter their social status. That's really what community centers were for. And they've lost that ability. And I wanted to find out why. Why is that? Because really, as a city, we should be trying to help our young people and give them outlets and let them know there's somewhere they can go to be safe and play with friends and make new friends. But I learned a lot from this conversation. Community center boards 2 decades ago, even a decade ago, really focused on their programming. You know, they'd have carnivals, they'd do what they could, they'd raise a little money with the carnivals, would help pay for some of the programming, and so on. But so much of the responsibility and expense has been put on the plates of these volunteer boards that programming is being impacted a bit. Volunteer opportunities are open all across the city. Nobody wants to do them. They have to charge rental and rent out the space at any community center as much as they can because they're responsible for all the bills. They have to pay for upgrades, they have to pay for regular maintenance, they have to pay for snow clearing, they have to pay to have their grasses cut in some cases, they have to pay their electricity, they have to pay. All of that. So now they have to hire staff because volunteers are dropping. And really, you need somebody to run a community center. You can't expect a volunteer to do that every day, all year. So these community centers are hiring staff to run the place. They have to hire staff to maintain it, clean it, because volunteers aren't doing that anymore. The city says, we'll give you money to run your operation. And we do that for all community centers across the city. So let's call it $200,000 a year. Or let's say, yeah, for a large, because your funding is based on certain sizes and stuff. So let's say for the $200,000, say $300,000 a year in staffing, and they've got, ice rinks, they've got outdoor rinks, they've got the building they have to maintain, they're paying back a loan to have that building rebuilt, and so on and so on and so on, and machinery breaks down, ice machine breakdown, all of the other operational issues that happen, they're responsible for. The city gives them a grand total of $190 some odd thousand a year. It doesn't cover staff requirements. It's hard to run these operations and count on volunteers. I know in talking to other community centers, there's a number of board positions for volunteers that are open. Even with the new change in rules where you have to have a parent check the vaccine status of somebody coming to watch a kid's hockey game because the city doesn't want to do it. We have security here. We're happy to pay for security here to do that. And they're having issues. They've had issues during COVID. Some places have had to, negotiate with banks to have loans frozen until COVID's over. But there's still interest accruing on that and more because of deals they're making. And the city said, listen, we'll help you with your COVID costs, because there needs to be signage and there needs to be arrows on the floor and you need to have signs all over the building. You need to have rooms cleaned. You need to have door handles and all that cleaned. Like, there was a lot of work, as you all know. This particular community club spent over $15,000 just on the supplies during the last 19 months. So they applied for the city grant. Going to get help from the city. We had a big press conference the city did on this, and hey, we're there for you. We gave them $1,000. And I think we gave them another $1,000 this year. So $1,000 last year and $1,000 this year. The over $15,000 was for the 2 years combined. So I want to be transparent on that. That's not enough. So really we're making you pay for it if you want to use it even more than we should be. Here's my problem with all this. The city is not helping the community centers other than giving a certain amount of money to an organization to hand that money out. So when extra money is given, it's given to this umbrella corporation, if you will, and everyone applies for funding to that corporation. So the community centers aren't working together, collaborating as a team. I'm sure they're trying, but they have to then compete with each other to get funding for projects at their community centers. Can't we just have a place where kids can go and play? Okay, I mean, can't we have a safe place for people to take their kids, skate outdoors? Crime is increasing at community centers. Tuxedo, we had kids that had a gun pulled on them. In this particular area, they've had machetes used. It's not graffiti, it's damage to buildings. They've had people bear sprayed and so on. And I said, wow, those are odd. No, those are regular occurrences. They've had people freak out at their staff about having to show their vaccine card. They call police, but police can't come. Not to a vaccine card dispute. There's other things that are going on. Priorities, priorities. And obviously, community centers and programming is not a priority for this government. But we don't have all the money in the world. We have lots, but we don't have all of it. So we can't just write a check and make it all go away. I get that. But we have to start setting some priorities. We have to start allocating our funds properly. This is why we need a zero-based budget review. We need to know where the money is going and make sure that it's going to the right places. Maybe it's not. I don't think it is. If you're at a community center or a volunteer, I would love to hear from you. I want to know more about what's going on, and I want to hear your ideas. How do we fix it? How do we fix it? The allocation of dollars, well, that's on council. Really, that's on our finance committee. Really, that's on the EPC, because they're the ones that will determine the budget. And they don't do a zero-based budget review. They just get handed the budget and they vote on it. We can do better. Please share ideas with me. Please let me know what you're encountering. Email me. It's by private email, kevin@kevinklein.ca. Let's talk and start getting things done.